here, but now they're gone. Seasons don't fear the reaper, nor do the wind or the sun or the rain. We can be like they are. Come on, baby, don't fear the reaper. Baby, take my hand. Don't fear the reaper. You'll be able to fly. Valentine is done here, but now they're gone. Romeo and Juliet are together in eternity. Romeo and Juliet, and women every day. And Juliet, and women every day, like they are. Come on, baby, don't fear the reaper. Baby, take my hand. Don't fear the reaper. You'll be able to fly. Don't fear the reaper. Baby, I'm your man. La 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 la. La 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 la.
Let's begin with the clock. Its hands don't deceive. DM claims she saw him at 4:20. She swore to believe. 3 feet from her door, masked in black. But the car they alleged was his, caught on a different track. 4:20 at 47. The timestamp's cold glare. 27 seconds to vanish. The math isn't there. The FBI's test showed 49 seconds required. 22 lost to thin air. The truth's been rewired. Objection, the gears don't turn. The timeline is broken, the jury must learn. No phantom, no ghost could outrun the light. The state's case collapses in the starkness of night. They built their foundation on a 2 a.m. lie. All home, all asleep, but the grand jury cried, why? X and E, out past that hour. Their alibi shattered, the state's lost its power. The PCA's page is now riddled with holes. Law enforcement or witnesses who misled their roles. If the roommates' accounts contradict what's been sworn, how can you trust any truth they've adorned? And Bethany's voice drowned in the fray. Her 911 call buried, her words turned to clay. Something's wrong here, she said, but they muted her plea. Why silence the witness who holds the real key? Objection, the gears don't turn. A timeline is broken, the jury must learn. No car, no weapon, no path through the dark. The state's case dissolves with no credible mark. They'll claim he's a killer with blades in each hand. Yet experts have spoken, their proof won't withstand. 2 distinct weapons, 4 lives torn askew. The wounds tell a story no lone man could do. X and D were attacked side by side, a feat requiring 2, yet they blame just one guy. The state scoffs at science, says he's Michael Myers. But this isn't fiction, they're fact deniers. No blood in his car, no prints on the steel. No murder weapon, just smoke, no ordeal. A mask and a theory, no substance, no thread. If you convict now, it's fear you've been fed. Objection, the gears don't turn. A timeline is broken, the jury must learn. When doubt shouts louder than their hollow decree, vote not guilty, let justice break through. Ladies and gentlemen, the law demands truth, not shadows and more. So heed the clock's whisper, and acquit, nothing more.
Good evening, my beautiful crime family. And boy, I tell you what, it is gorgeous out there tonight. That is for sure. I hope everybody's having a great Friday evening. I know I am. And our guest was back there backstage, but she dropped out, and I'm hoping she comes back here in a couple minutes. So I'm going to say hi to the crime family. Crime Spy, good to see you. Woke Up, good to see you. Donna, good to see you. Debbie Gazzardo, my girl, good to see you. Hope Norris, good to see you. Bianca, good to see you, girl. Moonflower Laza, my girl, good to see you. Yes, and I didn't. It was a crazy day. I couldn't get back, Moon. Maybe after the show here. Snow Leopard, good to see you. Jenny, good to see you. Open Mind Perspectives, good to see you. Woke Up, good to see you. Deborah Ackland, good to see you. Leo, good to see you. Deborah, my girl, good to see you. Snow Leopard, good to see you. Carolyn Wood, good to see you. Roll, good to see you. And everybody talking away. It's good to see everybody out and about tonight. Okay, she hasn't come back yet. Let me see what's going on here. Okay. We're going to be calling her here. She might have had a problem back there or something. So let me see what everybody's saying here. I love you too, Shelly. Good to see you, best of me. Hi, Kimberly. Good to see you. Sweet and salty. Good to see you. Festive. Good to see you. Cryptic. Good to see you. Let me find out where. Oh no. Or there she is, I think. Yeah, there she is. And let me introduce to you the beautiful and very intelligent. I'm going to just call her Sam. Here we are. Hey, Sam. Where'd you go, girl?
Just trying to figure out who the Candyman is.
Who the Candyman is?
I don't know who the Boogeyman is either, but I would really like to know who the Candyman is.
The Boogeyman, right? Yeah, me too. I'd like to know that too.
Really super duper important, guys.
Where's your cam isn't working?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to work on that.
Okay. So anyway, girl, so how you doing?
Oh, it's just one thing after another.
Yeah, I understand that totally. Yes. You've had kind of a rough day or whatever. Everybody has those days. You know what I mean? Everybody gets them, and it's how you deal with them, I guess. Mine was a crazy day. I had to run all over the place. I hate those kind of days too. Just I'm wondering how you're doing. And I kind of want the people to know who you are because they don't really know. So, who are you, Sam? You there, Sam? Okay, she must be having some problems. Sorry, everybody. Yes, she is. She's beautiful and she's very intelligent and a good speaker. I hope I don't hear you at all, Sam. So I don't know what's going on. You must be having some problems. Sandra, hi. Hello. Hello, Sam. Don't hear you at all, Sam. You might have to leave and come back in, maybe. Hey, girl, you there? Don't hear you at all. I don't know what's going on here, everybody. Yeah, her cam went on first, and now she'll need to go probably leave and come back in. I don't know if she can hear me or not. Can you hear me, Sam? Hello, Sam. Producer, you want to give her a call and see if what's going on there? Yeah. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna do a phone call thing. Yeah, probably a bad connection. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure if she's on a computer or a phone. I'm not sure. If she's on a phone, she might be having some problems. Yeah. Okay. Let me see. Okay, she's having some technical issues. Okay. Okay. She got an important phone call, so she'll be back. Um, so we're gonna get to know her anyway, and I thought it was a good idea, and uh, the one producing the show tonight is good friends with her, and so yeah, um, it will be interesting. Talked to her for a while last night in a meeting, and she's quite intelligent and worldly, and well spoken, very well spoken. So I'm just waiting to see what happens here. I got something to share for now or something. She comes back in. Let me see. I'll put something on. Okay. I could do this. Yeah, we'll listen to Kathy while this goes on here. Okay. There we go. And we'll listen to, because this just came out 2 hours ago. So, um, and this is Kathy's Indie Zone, episode 683. Court sets June 18th. Hearings, motion to continue, alternate perpetrators.
To the
There we go.
Indie Zone podcast. My name is Kathy. There has been an update to the case summary page in Idaho versus Koberger. This is the document that is maintained by the clerk of court, and it has been since the beginning of this case back on December 29th, 2022, to reflect all matters that have occurred in the case since that time. Notices of hearings, motions that were filed, court orders that were rendered, and the like. If you go to the very last page of the case summary page, page number 95, you will see a few additions today, which is May 30th, 2025. I want to call to your attention 2 items. One is dated May 29th, 2025. There is a notation, notice of hearing. Next to it is a PDF icon. This reflects the fact that this is a public document that will eventually appear on the public docket. Unfortunately, as of today, it has not yet been published on the public docket, and there is no further details on the case summary page as to what this notice of hearing may be. We're going to take an educated guess, provide our opinion that it may be for what is now reflected a few items further down, also on page 95 of the case summary page. This is hearing scheduled at 12:30 p.m. for June 18th, 2025. With the judicial officer, Judge Stephen Hippler. Prior to today and subsequent to the final pretrial conference back on May 15th, 2025, this matter was simply stated as hearing scheduled 12:30 p.m. before Judge Hippler. This appeared to correlate with the date that had been negotiated at the final pretrial conference in open court between Judge Hippler and the parties as being the hearing for the defense's offers of proof of alternate perpetrators to Mr. Kohberger. This hearing scheduled on page 95 has now been changed. It states, hearing scheduled 12:30 p.m., judicial officer, Judge Hippler, and then on a second line, motion to continue, not sealed. So this appears to be the date when the defense's motion to continue the trial date, which is currently scheduled to occur on August 11th, 2025, has been now set for oral argument. There is a notation next to motion to continue that says not sealed, reflecting the fact that this is a public matter, a public and open hearing on the motion to continue. However, there is also a second notation next to motion to continue not sealed. There is now a notation, motion regarding alternate perpetrators sealed. So it appears now, not surprisingly, as we had thought, that the matter regarding the motion relative to alternate perpetrators to Mr. Kohberger, to which he has filed offers of proof, evidence, and supporting information with attachments, as he did on May 23rd, 2025, will be a sealed and closed hearing. So again, there are now two hearings scheduled, one open, one closed. The motion to continue, not sealed, and the motion regarding alternate perpetrators, sealed. This will now conclude this episode of the Indie Zone podcast. My name is Kathy. Thank you for joining us today.
Who's coming in the driveway?
There we are. Okay, we're still having some issues here. All right. We might have to reschedule. I'm sorry to say. We'll reschedule it maybe for next Friday. We'll try scheduling it then. All I can say is that, she's really quite a really good person, and she's very intelligent and very worldly. I couldn't believe how well she spoke. She's just like, yeah, we'll have to reschedule her next Friday or something. Yeah, I don't know if I should do that or not. Yeah, we could run an open panel to my producer if she if things get changed around there. She can come back in. That's not a problem. Yeah, last night's show. What did I do last night? I did do something last night. I did, didn't I? Yeah, I could do that. I'll run last night's show. Okay. Let me see. Let's see. Okay, so just about there. Okay. And here we go. It wasn't even a cable.
Bachelor's in psych, masters in the justice. A PhD motivates me more than a huntress. While they chase the noise, I'm chasing my art. You can always find me watching stars in the park.
Kathy Mabbitt, a practicing attorney at law and former registered nurse, was elected to the office of Loudoun County Coroner in November 2006. As coroner, she announced the manner and cause of death in the Moscow, Idaho quadruple homicides based upon the autopsies, which were conducted on November 17, 2022. In this press release, the coroner announced the names of the 4 victims, along with their manner and cause of death, which was homicide by stabbing. She further stated that the 4 victims were likely asleep. Each was stabbed multiple times, and some had defensive wounds. Obviously, the autopsy report has not yet been made public. All autopsy reports include very detailed descriptions of stabbing wounds suffered by victims. As in the following example. The following is an example of an autopsy stab wound description. The victim weighed 55.7 kilograms and was 162 centimeters tall. Lividity was very slight. She had 1 stab wound on the precordium and 9 stab wounds on the back. The precordium stab wound measured 4.2 centimeters and appeared sharp at the left end and rectangular at the right end. The width of the right end of the wound was 0.2 centimeters. The wound penetrated the 5th intercostal space, left diaphragm, liver, and the right side of the thoracic aorta through the right thoracic cavity. A 250 milliliter blood clot was present in the right thoracic cavity. The maximum depth of the wound was 12 centimeters from the skin to the aorta. Obviously, we cannot use the manner and cause of death to back our theory that a second weapon, specifically a karambit, was also used at the crime scene. Nor can we refer to the autopsy report, which has not yet been made public. However, we can rely on the coroner's eyewitness description of the wounds. According to Mr. Goncalves, the coroner described the wounds that she saw as, quote, big open gouges or tears. She also said, quote, I don't think stabs is the right word. It was like tears. Like, this was a strong weapon. Not like a stab. This was not something where you were going to call 911. They were not going to slowly bleed out. The tiger claw is the karambit nickname. Tigers are known to disembowel their prey with their claws. The karambit can also gouge, claw, rip, tear, slice, pull, and leave gaping wounds, like a tiger's claw. The karambit requires less physical exertion than a K-bar, and can cause maximum damage in just a few seconds. The karambit has a built-in leverage in its curved design that can cause gape or gouge type wounds, with very little physical exertion. The karambit ring or hole is a safety mechanism that prevents slippage and enables you to change the position of the grip, without dropping the weapon. Gouge or gape wounds caused by a karambit result in maximum loss of vital fluids. And the clawing effect can displace tendons, ligaments, and muscle tissue, as well as damage organs. A K-bar can stab or slice. But unlike a karambit, a K-bar is incapable of clawing, tearing, and pulling. And a K-bar will not leave a gouging or gaping wound. If the K-bar stab wounds are non-fatal, people can often survive if 911 is called in a timely manner. This is due to the tamponade effect. The
Why is
tamponade
she
effect
messaging me
occurs
on my
when puncture
phone?
and stab type wounds appear to close up due to the swelling of the tissue
Huh?
and coagulation and clotting of the blood because of the close proximity of the wound edges. The tamponade effect
Yeah,
is
but I
not
mean, she's
possible on
talking to me.
gouge, gaping, and tearing wounds caused by a
Yeah.
karambit. The tip of the K-bar blade is known to break off during its use on just one single victim. This means that the probability of a K-bar blade tip breaking off during its use on 4 different victims is about 99.9%. So, it's just about guaranteed that the K-bar blade tip would have broken off under those circumstances. Yet, no broken blade tip was recovered at the crime scene, as far as we know. The repeated thrusting of the K-bar to produce multiple stabbings on just one victim can leave a perpetrator physically exhausted. By the time he reached the third and fourth person, he would likely be depleted of energy and would likely be overcome by resistance. In conclusion, a K-bar is incapable of causing ripping or tearing wounds with big open gouges, as described by the coroner. But the karambit is capable of causing such wounds in only a few seconds' time. Also, people often survive non-lethal K-bar stab wounds if 911 responds in a timely manner, due to the coagulating tamponade of the stab wound itself, stopping or slowing the loss of vital fluids. The open gouge and tear wounds described by the coroner will result in more blood loss, because in such wounds, a coagulating tamponade is not possible. In addition, K-bar blade tips have a tendency to break off after use on just one single victim. With multiple stab wounds on 4 different victims, the chances of a broken K-bar tip is nearly 100%. Yet, no broken blade tip was found as far as we know. Because of the different types of wounds suffered by Maddie and Kaylee, we are certain that there was a second weapon capable of causing the particular types of wounds described by the coroner. All evidence indicates that the second weapon was a karambit.
And there we are. And good evening, my beautiful crime family, on this Thursday evening, early evening. And I don't think even the K-bar matches in this case. Excuse me. And don't you agree with? Let me see what everybody's saying on this. That the that the karambit matches what was done to these kids. At least some of the wounds. That's why, and that's another thing is they talk about multiple weapons, and that's coming up more now, even in the documents. So, you know, maybe there was a K-bar involved, but that's not the only thing. And if they think they're going to get by with saying the K-bar was the only weapon, they're not going to get by with that. There's just no way in hell. Anyway, so I thought I would run that because I just don't see, and I've never seen a case like this where nothing matches up. Even when it comes to the weapon, I mean, most times, like in gun, when there's a gun involved, they can get the bullet. With knives, they can kind of tell, oh, it came from the kitchen. It came, it's this kind of knife, that kind of, this one, oh, it's a K-bar because the sheath is there. Something isn't adding up. And there's, well, that's a cougar got in there. But gouges and tears, what are they going to say about that when they get an expert on the stand and saying K-bar can't do that kind of wound? And then explains why. To me, they have nothing. They really don't have nothing. And Lana's show last night where the speeding car, she pretty much proves. Anybody watch Lana last night? Anybody watch Lana's show last night? She put out a video like 22 minutes long or something. Right, I've said that before, Paco. Yeah. Maybe cougars did come in, the doors are open. Yeah, I've said that before and I got laughed at. So whatever. But I'm just looking to see here. It was a good video. Yeah, it was. It was a good video. And I mean, that pretty much proves that isn't the car. That isn't Brian Kohlberger's car. It isn't. And I showed it, and it looks like a two-door coupe. Well, how are they gonna? What? They got nothing. Why is this man in jail? Why is this man in jail? And then this is the stuff that gets us creators thinking, well, was this in the construction? And Kohlberger's just a patsy to be in jail until it's over. Until the parallel investigations are over. Is he just a fall guy, or, in witness protection? We haven't, it's funny, but we haven't, you would think by now, right? 2.5 years, that somebody that had been in jail would have ran across the dude, right? You don't hear of anybody coming forward saying, hey, I talked to him in jail. You know, so they got him in a holding cell or something, or like you know what I mean? I think he's in witness protection in jail. I think they're protecting him. Is it because, you know, because of the 4 and just because for his safety, because of that, or is there more to it? And was there an extraction in place at that house? So yeah, anyway, let me look at what I got here. Yeah. Okay, and this is that load up here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this here, and this is from Ruby G. And if you guys haven't subbed to Ruby G, I highly recommend subbing to Ruby G. Go look at the page, and it's in the description. The link is in the description. Mods, I'd appreciate if you put up the link to the Ruby G channel. That is an excellent channel, and lots of good videos there. So the same with that Crime Time X. Anyway, let's get to this. Make sure it shares here. And there we go. Okay, so here we are. I want to get I'm going to put a different logo up there. Where is that? Yeah, we'll do that one. Sticker. Yeah, there we go. And back here. Okay, here we go. Yeah, this is Ruby G's channel right here. She put it out 7 hours ago. It's only got 708 views. She's got 870 subscribers, and people need to like this channel. If you go look at her channel, you'll see it's a really good channel. Anyway, this is called Spoonful of Sugar: Trafficking in Treasure Valley Part 1. And this is about Idaho 4. So let's check it.
DHS defines human trafficking as involving the use of force, fraud, or coercion to obtain some type of labor or commercial sex act.
Human trafficking is the exploitation of human beings for profit and has no place in any society.
Hey, by the way, many of us have heard that term, sex trafficking, but what does that actually mean? Well, tonight, we're going to break down what it means to help you understand and why you should actually care.
A time to educate ourselves and raise awareness in our communities about this devastating crime that violates the most basic human rights.
Americans care a lot about money. We talk about jobs and taxes and paychecks, but here's what we don't talk about. Right here in the United States, there is a thriving underground economy based on selling children for sex.
You know, that's the thing that 2020 hindsight is all great. But in that moment, this kid is just, she's still a kid, right? I still think of these guys as kids.
There's some kids that are caught up in the middle of all this. They grew up here, right? Yeah.
This is how sex traffickers do business. It's about supply and demand. First, they need someone to sell.
If people are buying, they're going to find a way to supply that demand.
They find them by combing through social media profiles, looking to spark a conversation.
Because anybody can say open an account and then send transactions, but it depends where was that device and what Wi-Fi and what was the IP address and who was sending and receiving these payments. Okay, now Christy responded to this dude. I mean, you.
Check that out, folks. So here's this Rob somebody saying, text me. I can't read under there. If you are looking for he gives an email or some address here. If you're looking for a legit sugar daddy to spoil you financially. And Christy Gonzalez answers, hi there, how are you? If that's her. You know what I mean?
Telling you, Venmo is telling me a different story in this Idaho 4 case. Who knew that Venmo was like a haven for sugar babies, sugar daddies, and sugar mamas, sugar parents? But if you look at the Idaho 4 individuals and some of their Venmo transactions, I mean, just look at this sugar mama H. DM, if you're looking for a sugar mama. I mean,
these people who are wanting sugar babies are perverts.
Yes, that's what they are. Absolutely.
Great simple. And many of them are pedophiles, but not always. So any age will do, depending on the individual.
This could happen to anybody. It happens to people that are high up on the socioeconomic level that don't need the money, but because of different situations that are happening there, they're pulled into the life.
Victims can be any age, race, gender, immigration status, socioeconomic status.
This isn't the movies. It's not like Pretty Woman or Taken. Richard Gere is not the buyer. Liam Neeson isn't there to save the day. This is sexual exploitation. This is trafficking. This is modern day slavery.
So this isn't limited to Idaho, but in Idaho, we know that there are those who are being exploited and have been exploited in certain situations.
Human trafficking is a problem in every state. Paula says most of the victims they see are Idahoans. She says the biggest source of trafficking here is familial.
Our kids are being sold and they're being bought.
And it's happening here in Idaho too.
We have a very skewed understanding of at what level do we allow our children to be put in a box.
Sent my daughter to college to get an education. She came back in a box, and I can speak on that.
Parents, ask your children what they know if your kids are over there. They know something. If these kids stand together, we can put an end to this. Otherwise, kids are going to keep dying. The people are going to keep dying. These people mean it. They're not kidding. They're dangerous.
Cosby's first law of intergenerational perversity. No matter what you tell your child to do, it will always do the opposite. Huh?
This is so classic trafficking scenario that I cannot fathom hardly that there's anything else that could be going on.
Be a little conservative. She was conservative. She was always looking up stories on child, getting trafficked, and she was telling me that she thinks it's a lot bigger than people understand.
We have in addition to sex trafficking, we have an issue with labor trafficking.
So who are these buyers? Court records show they've been teachers, pastors, cops, and judges.
Last year, 44 Idaho police officers had their law enforcement certifications revoked because of misconduct. Law enforcement records show the total number of Idaho decertifications in 2020 was up from 2019, when just 39 officers were stripped of their credentials. 486 Idaho police officers have been decertified since 2002.
There's been ops around the country where cops have shown up, firefighters, things like that, where you just wouldn't expect it.
Due to Idaho state law, we are limited in what information we can release today.
According to the charter, as chief constable, I'm supposed to get a pig every month and 2 comely lasses of virtue true.
Over the weekend, investigators still continued to sort through numerous tips, calls, and online tips. in regard to this investigation.
I wish to report a robbery.
A robbery, right. Thanks for the report. There's another one, Lou. 723 Evergreen Terrace. Well, there doesn't seem to be any pattern yet, but if I take this one and move it here, then I move these over here. Hello? It almost looks like an arrow.
Hey, look, Chief, it's pointing right at this police station.
Let's get out of here!
You have nowhere to turn and no recourse when you're caught up in a situation that might involve law enforcement. Where do you go?
Recent Idaho State Police data shows law enforcement agencies reported 36 human trafficking offenses in Idaho in 2022, a 414% increase from the previous year.
Data doesn't paint an accurate picture of how prevalent it is in Idaho.
Other agencies may not track human trafficking because it happens at the same time as other crimes and can be hard for officers to identify. It's a much bigger problem than those numbers portray.
We have an entire population that is under-identified, under-reported, and funneling through our systems punitively.
What are you supposed to do when those tasked with protecting you, ensuring your safety, and respecting your rights are complicit in the harassment and beneficiaries of your exploitation? You see, like you, our own deals with the devil, and likewise are expected to fall in line.
Sarah, you're as lovely as the day I first arrested you.
Oh, Clancy.
You know, I planted that crystal meth just to meet you. I was so shy.
Having handlers that were law enforcement in a university community, you know, as my experience, they took my driver's license and memorized it. That was before cell phones.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna grab your info.
Yeah.
And if I do have to come back here, a $300 some ticket's coming your way.
Okay.
And it only gets more expensive from there. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fair. Absolutely.
Actually, let's just do this. What's a good phone number for you? I'd much rather you spend that $300 on beer or something fun.
Yeah.
Noise
Yeah.
sticker, right?
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. That being said, warnings. Don't do it again.
Yep.
I'd hate to come back in a few hours and have to shit. So,
Yeah.
any questions for me?
No.
All right. Have a great shift.
Take care.
It's one thing to look at it and to get your age, but to take a photo to get all the info is spooky to me.
Mhm.
And who is that information going to?
So there's also rumors. There's also rumors that the cops are taking the girls' phone numbers and actually not just the girls, but multiple girls around there and calling them and trying to court them. Yeah, rumors. I'm not saying this is very, but I mean, so
He's in that position I was talking about. He's in a position of authority over you. And anyone in those positions
Mhm.
are terrifying.
This is ridiculous. You've been through my delicates, my silkies, my dainties, and my unmentionables.
Hey, Chief, look what I found under Mr. Simpson's car seat.
Hey, man, you planted that.
It's your word against the chief of police. Homer Simpson, you're under arrest for murder.
What do you believe the motive of the crime was?
Shut them up. I believe that it was initiated to shut them up, and I believe maybe the people who were hired to do it or told to do it went overboard.
You don't have to give a name, but I mean, is it someone that she knew, or?
I have something to say about that. I just feel like there's been a couple individuals that were cleared very fast. That may not, maybe he shouldn't have been. And yeah.
When you hear these suspects, but there's no warrant related to them, then you can kind of toss those out.
Some victims of human trafficking can feel like their new lifestyle was a choice, and so they really have no one else to blame for their current situation. Traffickers use insecurity, embarrassment, fear of retaliation, and intimidation to control their victims. These forms include imposing of debt, fraudulent employment opportunities, false promises of love or a better life, psychological coercion, and violence or threats of violence. The crime of human trafficking hinges on the exploitation of another person.
When it turns into something like unwanted intimacy, who are you going to tell? Your trafficker that sent you on the, I tried telling, and they're like, they more or less said, no kidding.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like, you should know that's where this is going.
If you view the individual from the lens of prostitution, then you are saying that that person is choosing to do it and nobody is forcing that.
Some people know about it and put their head in the sand about the whole situation.
Yeah, I think that's what we're struggling with. So it's like, we know what we know.
I want to know, but then there's stuff obviously you don't want to know.
Okay, so Maddie's in the background. I showed this picture to you before. Can you explain what the hell this guy's doing here?
The first words out of my mouth were, what the heck? What is going on here? So after I said, what the heck, then I'm looking and I'm going, he's carrying a drink in their home. So he's hanging out. And then my understanding is there's video of him more than once in this home. Is that correct?
He's a freaking flyer there.
Transnational drug traffickers and criminal organizations often look to increase profits and market control through diversification. This means using trafficking routes for drugs, labor, sex, and violence.
It's just a different commodity. You got your dope that isn't a walking, talking entity, and so there's less concerns around that. But then moving people's the same as moving dope. Yeah.
For example, cartels will often use trafficked women to smuggle drugs across the border, doubling the exploitation and the money they can take from them.
I've known many who weren't on any sort of drugs or anything that are shot up their first time with something and are addicted, and then addicted for life, like fighting and fighting and fighting. If they survive the trafficking, then they're fighting addictions.
I was arrested with a trafficker, and it was his drugs on me. He made me carry, and when I told the officer what had happened, the officer wouldn't believe me. He thought that I was just a prostitute that had a drug problem.
Traffickers use drugs and alcohol as tools to lure potential victims, groom them, and ultimately control them. They exploit individuals' opioid use or substance use disorders to coerce them into trafficking, knowing that they are more vulnerable than individuals without substance use disorders.
This is not the end of this investigation. In fact, this is a new beginning.
So yeah, I think there's a lot. I don't know if it's still going on, but I think there was a lot going on in that town, in Pullman, and then in that whole area, including like Coeur d'Alene too. I mean, that whole thing, and trafficking can include so much. And what they're finding out is that police departments, a lot of them are involved. And there's been busts. If you look it up, there's been busts in trafficking where policemen are involved. And, all it takes is one bad apple. And everybody knows that. I'm not saying anything bad about police departments or anything, but if you got a bad apple or two, if you have a bad apple, that bad apple spreads in the bag, right? If you have a bad apple in a bag, that bad apple, all of a sudden the other ones start going bad. All it takes is one to corrupt others. And yes, money talks. Money talks. Did Kaylee, did she know something 2 weeks before she was talking about trafficking? Did she run across something in her sleuthing? Because I mean, we need to seriously look at this. We need to seriously look at this. There's a few things about this case that can point to that. Like I said, craziest case I've ever seen, and that makes me think a lot of different things. And I mean, there's something wrong. There's something not right about this case. And yes, I do believe there's law enforcement involvement. And again, I'm for law enforcement. Okay, I'm not like against law enforcement. I'm for law enforcement, and they do a tremendous job, most of them. But there is some out there that, you know, that are struggling maybe financially or something. And this is a very tempting thing to get into for them. Yeah. Let's see what else I got here. This is something I didn't know either. Oh, what was that one? Okay, well, definitely this one. Okay, so this next video is from Primetime X, and I don't think they put out a lot of videos, but when they do, they're pretty good. I don't want to go to my email right now because it just slows this down, and I have problems doing that with this computer. Here's who I'm running right now, and that's Crime Time X79. Crime Time X79. And let me show you what I got here. Okay, so here we go. Crawl space behind Kaylee's room and bathroom exposed by King Road demo. Stash room? Question mark. That's just, I thought this was interesting. This was put out a year ago. This is a really good channel, though, actually. Crime Time X there. Check it out.
There it is in plain view, guys. That's not a window. That's a small door that leads to Kaylee's room. The roof slants over Xana's room and the living room, which creates that crawl space. Now notice how the building offsets here, guys, and then it goes all the way across to Maddie and Kaylee's bathroom. And there's the middle window, which is just the shared space between Maddie and Kaylee's room and the bathroom. Now let's take a look inside the bathroom. There's the shower and normal things you see in a bathroom. But this bathroom also has a floor vent. And it's right next to the crawl space. Ladies, let us know in the comments section. How would you feel if your apartment had a crawl space next to your bathroom? Kind of creepy, right? And a perfect setup for a two-way mirror. But not in this case, because the crawl space is not high enough. But what about those floor vents? Could a perv actually hang out inside there? We're not sure about that ventilation. And there doesn't seem to be any vents outside. At least we don't see any. But what about this? It looks like something next to a clothes dryer. But it's connected to Kaylee's room. Could it be part of the air conditioning system? If you know, please share in the comments. I don't know, guys. It's one thing to have an attic or crawl space in your home. Perhaps in your ceiling, where it's not easily accessible. But a crawl space in your apartment that leads to your bedroom and behind your bathroom is kind of spooky in my opinion. And how about that floor vent in the bathroom? Couldn't a perv put a hidden camera in there, accessible from the crawl space? Wow. And it's a nice place to hide a stash without anyone in the house even knowing about it. Especially a house full of girls. I mean, which one of the girls do you think even went inside that crawl space? Not that there was a reason to. But guys are different. They don't need a reason to go inside. They just go in. And look at Kaylee's room. It was the best room of them all because of its size and because of the access to the balcony. But weren't some of the other girls there before Kaylee moved in? So why didn't any of them call dibs on that room when it was vacant? Maybe because of the crawl space. We don't know, we're just speculating on that. But that crawl space is definitely a good place for a stash of some sort. And people have speculated about where something or someone could have been hiding out inside the house. The bedroom closets didn't seem to have any doors. But the crawl space did. And it would be pervert heaven for a stalker. Imagine surveillance equipment in that bathroom vent. Okay, maybe that's too much. But cash or illegal drugs without the girls knowing about it. It's possible. Thanks for viewing, and don't forget to like and subscribe.
Okay, let me check out one other thing here. I can't remember what this is. Let me see. Okay, let's see. Just gonna show this real quick. Just found some things that were interesting to me when I was looking. I was like on YouTube last night for quite a while. So let's take a listen.
What was Dylan doing on Snapchat all night? Roll that tape.
There's not really a break in DM's phone. That is pretty well continuous. I'm talking about the Snapchat activity, talking about Instagram, as well as editing pictures.
One of the students' faces looked like a dented tennis ball.
I know the condition of Kaylee's body and Maddie. My daughter received the text. She had received the text by 10 a.m. from somebody in Pi-Fi, and then she distributed it, and other people did as well.
From Pi Beta Phi.
Yes, that's exactly right. I don't know what format the communication was in. I believe it was Snapchat.
I'm talking about the Snapchat activity,
You knew everything that had happened.
Mm-hmm.
Down to like the injuries and where the kids were. No, the condition of Kaylee's body and Maddie. Like, who does that?
Yeah.
Who does that?
I will never let a sucker start an Armageddon.
Okay, and that's from Euphoric. Sounds like Ted, doesn't it? He ran like a Ted video or something, because it sounds like Ted. I haven't seen nothing from Ted lately. I'm gonna have to go look up his page. Never went there. Martin, Steve G knew about these crawl spaces, but said he never went there. DM's boyfriend Quinn also said he never went to Moscow. Yeah, right. Ask yourself, why don't they want us to know? Yeah, there's something about Moscow, and is it going to come out in trial? That's the thing, you know. Is it going to come out in trial? Does Anne know? Is she digging into that part too? I mean, she wants a lot more time. In my opinion, people, this case is not going to go to trial this year. I don't think it's going to be at least a year from now before they go to trial. That's what I think. If there's even a trial, because Anne, I think, is working hard to get this dismissed. I mean, I think she's looking at every avenue. She's looking at other perpetrators. I think she's like behind the scenes. I think she's going for the throat. You know what I mean? She's going for the throat. But it's taken this case is so complex, and that's why I think there's more to it. Because like the trafficking or something, there's something there that we're missing. It's like this great big puzzle, right? It's like this great big puzzle, and there's a piece missing. There's a piece missing, and it's just not right. And what is that piece? What is that piece of information that we're missing? And that's what we should be looking for, is that one piece of information. Because, and is it trafficking? Is there some form of trafficking going on in that city? And is LE involved? Was one of the survivors involved with LE on the trafficking thing? That's another thing to look at. You don't know. We don't know. I doubt it. I don't think so. But you got to think about it. There we are. Okay, well, that was last night's show, and again, like I said, we're going to be rescheduling Sam. Sometimes things are hard. Sometimes life is hard, and yeah, I'll keep her in my prayers, and I want to wish everybody a happy weekend, a good weekend, and I'll let you know when Sam's rescheduled. And yeah, I'm going to end this with a song from a band I was in back from 98 to 2002, then 2005. Then we made another band out of that band. But the band is Atomic Toy Box, and this is from a live show, recorded from a live show in 1998. And can't hear the crowd much because he had some kind of, I don't know what the sound man had. We had a huge system. It took a 27-foot U-Haul to haul the gear. And it was a 12-hour setup. And the sound man, though, he had something where it, like, you couldn't hear the crowd, like a limiter. I don't know what it's called, but anyway, it's a pretty decent recording for 1998. And so, and I'm sure you'll recognize the song. A lot of people do. And to my subs, I love you all very much, my chatters and my non-chatters both. And you are my heart and my mods. You are my soul. And until next time, rock and roll.
Give me one reason to stay here, and I'll turn right back around. Said, give me one reason to stay here, and I'll turn right back around. Said, I don't want to leave you lonely. You gotta make me change my mind. Baby, I got your number. Oh, and I know that you got mine. You know that I called you I called you many times. You can call me, baby. You can call me anytime. You got to call me. Say, give me one reason to stay here. Yes, and I'll turn right back around. You can see me turning. Say, give me one reason to stay here, and I'll turn right back around. You can see me turning. Said I don't want to leave you lonely. You gotta make me change my mind. I don't want no one to squeeze me. They might take away my life. I don't want no one to squeeze me. They might take away my life. I just want someone to hold me, oh, and rock me through the night. Chasing you around, wasting my precious energy. I said, give me one reason to stay here. Yes, and I'll turn right back around. You can see me turning. I said, give me one reason to stay here, and I'll turn right back around. You can see me turning. Said I don't want to leave you lonely. You gotta make me change my mind. Oh, baby, just give me one reason. Yes, give me just one reason why. I said, baby, just give me one reason. Oh, give me just one reason why I should stay. 'Cause I told you that I love you, and there ain't no more to say.
Well, I come from a small town over
full moon.